Hello and welcome along to the Where's My KitBag podcast, featuring your three lovely media technicians of the Sixth Form College Farmer with myself, James.
Me, Will.
And I'm Steve.
How are we, boys?
Very good.
Yeah,
now,
not bad.
we're recording this on another random day because it's the only day we're all in.
Yeah, so much for scheduling.
I know. Damn it. Because I'm on a trip.
Where are you off to?
I'm off to Manchester. Actually, that's a terrible Manchester accent.
No.
I'm just going to give up before I even start. No, with the C-Tech doubles students in the second year, they're off to Manchester to have a look at BBC studios, have a look at some sort of media museum stuff, hopefully see some clients potentially.
Does that mean we have a relatively... That means it's going to be like... The edit suite's going to be like a ghost town Thursday and Friday.
Yep. There'll be no C-Tech doubles in. There'll be no me, no Rach, no Jane.
Interesting.
Yeah,
weird.
There'll be a quiet end to the week.
So,
yeah,
you're a Strictly fan, aren't you? If you get the same tour I got, you'll get to see some memorabilia. Memorabilia.
My days. What kind of memorabilia we're talking, Will?
I think a few dresses.
I mean, will they fit me? Probably not.
Well, you can always give it a go. Why not?
Stick them on. Nice to see you.
They did have.
Nice.
I hope you get this cool. Like they have this little corner where they've got a sofa, a bit like a breakfast show. And they do like a live presentation of how they sort of change the background of the breakfast show. So you can sit on the couch, pretend you're having a chat, and then like they can like change it so either you've got the weather or like there's like different places behind you.
Nice.
They're using the same software they use for broadcasting, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Because mainly they're there to do their vlogs for their cinematography and special effect unit. So we'll get a bit of a slightly more exclusive tour, you could say. Of some of these studios so they can actually do their vlogs properly. But like, hey, look, here's how a real place does it. Yeah. And then they're sticking their hands out like YouTube vloggers.
We got to see the
quite good fun
set of Judge Rinder, but not set up, just the area they use. But they build it and put it down like every day.
God.
Yeah, that whole courtroom for all the shows because it's like a space that gets hired out. It's like BBC use it, ITV use it. So like they build it up, put it down. Next show, Deal or No Deal, build it up, put it down.
Deal or No Deal still on? Is Deal or No Deal still on?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
is it?
That's one game show that I want to apply for. Do you know why? There's no questions. You're automatically going to leave with money.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's a penny or not.
Yeah, there's very little way to embarrass yourself. And if somebody went,
enough.
oh, the dealer's offering you £8,000, I'm like, yeah? And other people are greedy and want more. I'm like, no, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I'll take the first offer.
that.
But then you can go on like, the weakest link, which I don't think exists anymore, and you could answer a plethora of questions which you might get wrong, look like a bit of a muppet, and walk away with either nothing or like $2,000 a max. I think it's my stamp on game shows.
It's a better return for your effort value.
Oh, absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe I'm lazy.
Is Noel Edmonds still doing it?
I don't think it's been on for like years.
Oh, I used to have a Deal or No Deal board game thing.
As do I.
It's a little electronic thing, and it randomizes what box you get, and you can press the boxes, obviously, in whatever order you want, and then you get a call, in air quotes, from the whatever it was, the banker, being like, "I'll offer you $10,000," and you're like, "Well, duh, no, greedy, keep going." I'm like Steve's worst nightmare because I always try and take it to the end and see how much I could have got.
To what month and what year did Deal or No Deal stop running?
Ooh.
I'll give you a point for the year and a point for the month.
November 2015.
Oh, I think it's earlier than that. I'm gonna go August 2011.
Bloody hell! It's been around a lot sooner than that, right? Will takes the point. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Can I have a little ding, please?
Will was.
Hang on.
Will was within a year. Close though, October 2016. But they did air a couple of episodes from the 12th to the 23rd, 2016. In December, sorry. So that brings in bold font Deal or No Deal to an end. Yeah, 2016, 4 years ago.
There you go.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Deal or No Deal.
R.I.p. my beloved game show that I never applied for and will never get on.
There's always shows. Ninja Warrior.
Oh, God.
Or, yeah. Or Total Wipeout, if that's still going.
They film that in the Netherlands.
Do they?
No, they don't. It's Argentina, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's an assault course of the Total Wipeout course in the Netherlands. I only know that because the YouTube and quotation Sidemen did it. And that's one of the few videos I've actually clicked on the Sidemen. Quite entertaining.
Cool.
Otherwise, talking of game shows, my friends have applied to go on Only Connect.
What's that?
Have you never seen Only Connect?
No.
It's
No.
like one of the hardest. Oh my days! It's one of the hardest game shows ever.
Applying to something anyone can do.
Yeah.
No, as in they've got through to the you're almost picked for TV round.
Oh, wow.
So they've
you
got-
didn't lead with
yeah.
that point.
All right, I was going to build myself up to it, but you just jump in the gun. No. So that they got past the initial interview and they did their they did the camera screen test, and then it's down to like them versus like another 5 pairings to get like the one spot that they're vying for or something like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, it could be fun.
Cool.
So yeah, hopefully you might see my friend Rosh on Only Connect, a game show that's damn hard.
I've never heard of it.
Think University Challenge, but cryptic.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's mental. I do love it. It's on a Monday. BBC 1 or 2, one or the other. Anyways, Steve, shall we do some news?
Yes.
No, I've put up the wrong fader. Lol. Now that I found the right fader, Steve.
Can you hear that?
Wait, do we need to cut the
It's
music?
the sound
here?
of
Cut the
disappointment.
music.
Do you want sadness?
No, I don't want anything.
Oh,
Just listen.
just silence.
For the viewers out there, what does that sound like? Well, you wouldn't actually know because you're viewers and you can't hear me. I can't hear you. Right. Ready?
Listeners, also not viewers.
What does this sound like?
Ooh, a disc of
A
some
disc.
sort.
Right. Where should this disc be? Ben?
Where
Where should I be right now?
I'm assuming you're referring to Film Club.
Yes,
Steve
so-
McHale.
Just to give all viewers a bit of context, it is 4:51 on the 10th of February as we are recording this. Unfortunately, I should be in Film Club right now. However, after the 17 people that voted for Taxi Driver, on top of 34 or 36, don't know the number specifically, who voted for this week's Film Club, guess how many people turned up? Cue the sad music. 3. 3 people. Shout out to those 3 people. Not going to name them by name. Don't need to. I gave them a copy of the film to watch in their own time. But sadly, I don't think Film Club is going to run for the remainder of this year. And it's unfortunately the students.
That is a shame.
It's the students' fault, unfortunately.
You know what it is, Steve?
What? It is. It's a real shame because I got a lot of good feedback from Get Out because a lot of people were saying, you know, oh, we've seen it, so we don't want to turn up. From this like anonymous voice who never saw faces, it only came through Aidan the rep. Which was fine. Actually, no, it wasn't just Aidan the rep. It was like all the 9 people that came to Get Out, which actually wasn't actually a bad turnout considering apparently it's a film that everybody's seen besides me. But Taxi Driver got like a lot of interest to the point of it actually racked up over like 35 votes across the 2 votes, 2 sets of possible voting. But it just seems that people vote for it and then either forget about it or just can't bother to turn up, which I don't mind. I'd just like to know in advance because I think what a lot of students don't really take into consideration is that space needs to be booked. Obviously, staff need to be overseeing that space, etc. And obviously, it's a resource for the students. And we can only conduct so much research as staff. And if we get the research, which seemed positive, i.e. the voting system, to like, you know, warrant putting it on and warrant going above the powers that be, i.e. the people in the States that do wait behind for us to finish up, and then not turn up, it's just a bit of a shame, really. So I'm not sure. I'm still in a limbo of do I advertise it one more time and have a go, but I've been advised otherwise. So unfortunately, I do believe this is the end of an era. I think Film Club is Film Club's in the dust. It got in a taxi and left.
In the dust of a trumpet.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a resource that was there. And when it comes to it at the end of the year, I don't think anybody can complain that they didn't have enough opportunities to, you know, consume some films. So I guess selfishly, the staff did our part. We did our part. You know, it's all good. And I think, So end of an era there. Yeah. So that's pretty much the big department news. Bit of a shame.
Oh.
It does mean I get to be on the pod because originally I wasn't gonna be on the pod to help Film Club, but yeah, now there's a bit of an empty space for TechNet Choice. Can fill the space on the newsletter, can't it? Oh, well, it's out quite
there
nice.
we go.
That's a lot more successful. That's been great this year since the new evolutions kind of worked out of 1 per month. I can already see like at least winners for the end of the year. So even if no one else posted on TechNet Choice, which I hope people still do, there's actually a winner for each month that I've already kind of got in my head because they're all really different and really good. All different students as well, which is good. So it should mean I'll get hopefully a short list of about 6 students for awards. But if you haven't posted on TechNet Choice and you're hearing this, the door's still open. Even if it's a photo on your phone or a bit of music, or, you spat some bars on TikTok, whatever you feel. If it's quite interesting, I probably won't get a TikTok in now I think about that. Pop it on TechNet Choice 2019, hashtag. And you'll never know. Your name could be called up and you can get in front of the lights on awards evening at the end of the academic year, which is a huge celebration, which is really exciting.
And a big round of applause.
Yeah, which is really good. It's really, really good. It was kind of a bit of a gamble last year, but it was so successful, TechNet Choice last year. You had like 150 odd entries. Annoyingly, I can't really see this year with Instagram kind of, doing us the dirty with blending in all the recent and the all-time posts. But to be fair, in January, we've had 22 posts in January for 1 month. That's pretty good.
That is great.
That's almost one a day.
Yeah. So, yeah, actually. Yeah. So that's pretty good. So it's still relatively impressive. And it's the good thing I like about that compared to Film Club is you can see results before, I have to do any work as a member of staff to be able to reward people. I put out an ad and I see instant results and we can celebrate students' work. So, out of our experiments, if one of them worked, 50% of it worked, was well worth it. So, yeah, there you go. We'll bring you down and then we'll bring you back up again in department news. That's what we do over here on the one side of the table.
Do we get knocked down but then get up again, Steve?
Yes. Is that what I said? Roughly.
I was trying to make a song reference.
I'm never going to let you down. I get knocked down. But that's it. Yeah, see?
I'm nodding in happiness.
Nice. But yeah, there you go. I guess the only thing I probably would be nice. Is there anything else? This is more like a message, not to you guys, to like the listeners, i.e. in the department. Is there anything else that you feel like you are missing as like a student during your time here? Because that's essentially our job, isn't it? Is to kind of fill those holes of different opportunities and different experiences. So like Will's done an amazing job with the F6. You're hoping to build radio, so that's audio and visual opportunities, which are all things that are kind of building. I'm trying to do my thing in regards to the print side to get like journalists hopefully a bit inspired. But if there's anything and you're like listening to this and you're like, oh, I really would have enjoyed this or that, like even if you want to speak to one of your teachers and they can anonymously tell us if you're too worried to come and speak to us, it'd be just cool to know. I don't know if it's worth putting out a survey, whether we get any responses, I don't know. But it'd just be nice to kind of hear the voice of the students.
Why not?
There you go. That's my little call out to everybody to see if we can fill that Monday film club time. It doesn't have to be a Monday. Fill that film club time with something else to reward students who want to go that little bit extra.
Cool.
During their time here.
Damn straight.
That's pretty much it for department news.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. Actually felt quite uplifting by the end of it with TechNet Choice.
We could be lifted.
Yeah. There you go. Onward to some tech.
Hello. Well, we're back with another Tech News Tech Week. So, what are we talking about today? So, up first on my list, we've got the Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, I say, which is going to be the next gens of console. We've got the PS5 as well. They're both confirmed to be coming out before the end of the year, in time for Christmas. So, imagine these are going to be on a lot of people's Christmas lists.
Wait. Christmas list.
Christmas. Nice.
That was good. That
a
was
lot of people
perfect,
might not know what that's from.
That's true. I do have that as a jingle somewhere, but
nice.
I think I've deleted it because it's not Christmas anymore.
Oh, God.
I'll find it. Keep going.
All right. Well, they may contain ray tracing in the actual computers. For those of you that don't know, ray tracing kind of enhances graphics even further and lets you do crazy reflections. You can basically like see yourself in a mirror essentially.
Wow. I was going to say,
could
you define it? I think you've done really well there.
Yeah.
I couldn't define it in a sentence.
It's tricky. It's tricky, but it's a lot of reactive things. So like if there's a puddle with a reflection in it, if you shot a bullet into that puddle, you'll see the ripples and the reflection ripples.
Wow. So it honors real life lighting physics.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
Cool.
It's basically adding like a lot onto footage to make it look cool.
Damn.
That's the sort of thing. And a computer, to kind of get that up and running, you probably are going to have to spend about a good £1,000, 1,500. So if these PlayStations, Xboxes come in at about sort of a 300 to 500 mark, I think a lot of people are going to be happy, especially with that feature. Samsung announced that, well, they've talked about it a little bit before, but they've shown off a little trailer for their flip phone that's coming, which is going to be like a clamshell, a bit like that Motorola one we saw before, and they showed that off at the Oscars. Funny enough, we'll be talking a bit more about that later. And last bit of tech news, the Apple Watch has outsold all Swiss manufacturers in 2019.
Damn.
So
Wow.
every watch manufacturer, like, you know, all the big names, it outsold all of them, selling 31 million units of the Apple Watch.
I have had an Apple Watch. They were very good.
Mm.
You guys have got your Samsung watches, haven't you? And
Yeah, we do.
you
Yeah,
stand by
I enjoy
them.
it. Personally, I like the look of watches, but for what a smartwatch gives me instantly, I really like it. I really enjoy it. So I can see where it's coming from. I'd be interested to see the sales of the other watches, but 31 million sounds like a lot.
Oh yes.
So good job, Apple. They have, I think they're on their 5th series of the Apple Watch now.
I think so.
It's quite expensive though. I think they're like the bigger size one retails at like £450.
I was going to say that is the only issue that I found is like I kind of want to jump on the bandwagon because I had an Apple Watch and you guys are like, I'll get the Galaxy Watch, get all this, get that. But then it was like $299 and I'm like $299, like it's really cool, really handy and like super techy, but $299 that's a Nintendo Switch.
I would have said get a Pebble, but Pebble don't exist anymore.
Oh, they're gone. We had that
RIP.
for a bit, didn't we?
Yep, love my Pebble.
What's a Pebble?
It was
E-ink.
Yeah, so it was e-ink. So it used less battery. Could last about 7 days before you needed to charge it back up again.
Another smartwatch.
Yeah.
It's like a more bare bones.
Yeah, no heart rate or anything, but if you got a text, you could see it on your watch. That's essentially
you could
it.
receive, but you couldn't send.
Yeah.
So it's more a viewer, and then you go like to your phone to do something.
Nice.
But it was lightweight. It was really good, waterproof. All the works.
They came out before smartwatches was even a word, really. So, but they're gone. They're also dust.
Yeah, they got bought up by Garmin, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
But then Garmin haven't really done anything with the IP.
No.
So, much sad.
That's just
Pebble.
a quick fire tech news for this week.
What was
Some
the
interesting facts.
what was the list, Will, that it had to go on?
Christmas list.
Nice.
Oh, you found it.
Yeah,
Nice.
I did. Yeah, cheeky bit of research. Why not? Well, if that's it for tech news, shall we move
what's up
on
next?
to the old tune of the week? Now, tune of the week this week. I had some more pondery. I was quite tempted by one song that I've been listening to a lot, but then I heard this song the other day, and I was like, ooh, fresh content. Have you boys heard of a band called Foals?
I have indeed.
I have heard of them.
So Foals have got a new album out. I think it came out last week or the week before. And there's a song on it called Neptune, and it's very, very nice. It's quite long for your average radio edit song. It's about 10 minutes long.
Oh,
but it's kind of got the main song is in like the first between like kind of a minute and 5 minutes. So it's like a 4-minute track, but it's got like the official video. Obviously, you can get the link in the description to go and listen to it. It's got like kind of an ambience build up at the beginning for like a minute-ish, and then like a really long ambient instrumental at the end, which just sounded great. And I was just like, I was listening on going, this song hasn't ended yet. Go back to the video. Oh, back away. Oh, this song still hasn't ended yet. Damn. So yeah, no, I was very impressed. It's kind of obviously like your kind of Foals noise as it were, a kind of poppy indie, slightly electro vibe, but not too much. And it's just a really good song that you can just put in the background. You kind of you hear the main song, and then you just get this nice instrumental at the end.
cool.
I approve greatly.
Good to work to, it sounds
Yes, I approve greatly of any song that you can work to in the background. But obviously, as people know, my main thing is trance. Bit strange, me. But yeah, obviously, we won't have a track of the week next week because it'll be half term, so we won't be here. But we'll be back in 2 weeks with another track of the week. But yeah, if you want to listen to Foals Neptune, you can get the link in the description down below, or you can obviously get it on the Where's My KitBag playlist on Spotify. Please feel free to listen to the whole lot because you can listen to all the other previous tracks of the week on there. Nice,
Perfect.
wicked. I'd give it a listen, boys. Give it a gander.
Will do.
It's quite good.
Will do.
So shall we move on to a bit of what have we been watching?
Let's do it.
Plus Oscar chat. Now, what I need to do is set up a call.
Oh,
That's
who
right.
we dialing in?
That's right. We're getting a guest, and his name is Ross Sargentson, King of the Oscars. Because that man, I'm surprised he didn't stay up for it. So, did either of you watch the Oscars last night?
That is a negative.
No.
No.
I like sleep.
Oh, I really should play like sad violin, but no, too much effort. It starts at like 1 a.m.
Although
it,
I have read
half-time?
through all the obviously winners now, and
Oh yeah, likewise.
oh, I'm looking forward to having a little chat.
Nice, right? Let's see if we can find a Ross Sargentson. So hopefully, I've prepped him to say expect our call. So let's see if it'll work. Come on. Start a call. Oh, contacting. We wait. It says that's so live podding.
Yeah, anticipation
is
killing me.
palatable. I know.
What if he doesn't pick up?
I mean,
I guess we'll have to
sad violins.
Just stop.
Oh, we have ringing. We have ringing. Come on, Ross. He might be cooking dinner for his sons. He did warn us. He might hear his kids in the background.
I thought he was going to pick up then.
Yep.
Oh, it's the pauses.
Hello, Ross Sarginson.
Hello.
Yay! A massive collective joy. Ross, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are we recording, or is this a temporary?
No.
Oh, you're
no,
live.
We are live on the pod, Ross. Please do not swear.
Hello.
I've always wanted to say
Everybody.
that. For obviously important questions first. Have you fed your sons?
Well, Louise has arrived home. For listeners, that's my wife. And yes, she's looking after them now. So
Excellent.
Oh, good. Okay.
We've got Ross all to ourselves.
You do.
Fantastic.
Right, now the admin's done. Let's get into business.
So, Ross, obviously the reason we're ringing you is Oscar chat time.
Oh, exciting! Oh, what an Oscars it's been.
So we obviously, I think the majority of us predicted that 1917 would win the Oscar for Best Picture, except me. I went rogue and picked Ford versus Ferrari because I loved that film and I'd watch it all over and over and over
that
again.
actually did quite well, surprisingly.
I know. Surprisingly, it's a great film. Will, what are you on about? So, Ross, do you want to reveal who was the actual winner? Good sir.
What, of the best film category
Yes.
are we talking about?
Yes, indeed.
Well, to much people's surprise and happiness, by the seems of it, it was Parasite. So, yay! It was fantastic. I was getting that sneaky suspicion it would do it, but and I personally believe it really, really deserved it. It was for all sorts of reasons, but sorry, a bit out of breath from running around doing all the bin run and everything around the house. So it's unusual. But anyway, yes, no, Parasite really, really deserved it. It was a fantastic achievement, and so happy for them and Korean cinema.
Incredible.
It's just a brilliant achievement. I mean, that's not disrepeating any of the other contenders, particularly 1917, which many thought would do it. But I just think, in terms of the multi-layered approach they had, in my opinion, Parasite was the better film, and I'm so glad the Oscars got it right. So
it was quite interesting hearing that. I think in his speech he made reference to Scorsese, and obviously having inspiration from him growing up to make a film, be pitted against him and actually beat him for the Oscar. That's quite a feat, I think. So
it's a fantastic achievement.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
You know, Scorsese and Tarantino were both sort of pioneering his work and Korean cinema anyway, so there's a deep appreciation for him. And it was just so lovely that he sort of respected them. And obviously, I'm sure you and the listeners have probably seen Bong Joon-ho in interviews. He's normally got his translator that goes around with him. But it was just so warming to hear him actually say it himself, you know, to Scorsese for the very little English he does speak. It was just a heart-warming moment. It was just so lovely. And I think one of the most historic, memorable moments there's going to be in Oscar history. It was just so lovely to see that last night.
It was history defining, wasn't it? Because it was the first non-English speaking film to win an Oscar for Best Picture.
And they also made history by the fact that they changed the best foreign language sort of category to best international film, which gave it a bit of gravitas as well. And that's how Bong Joon-ho sort of started his discussion, saying, "Oh, you know, it's quite wonderful to have this and make history to be the first to have that labelled, you know, Oscar." And I actually think he genuinely did not expect for what else was to follow to come after getting that, because it was just overwhelming, and it was just so lovely to see him get it every time, you know. So it was wonderful.
Great, yeah.
Because obviously he did the double, winning both Best Film and then obviously Best International Feature as well.
Yeah,
double whammy.
And director too. So you know what an achievement. And
who predicted that he would win that director Oscar?
Well, it may have been a certain someone you're speaking to right now. I honestly thought he would get it. I thought he had the upper hand over the others, and personally, I think although obviously 1917 is a huge achievement technically and what they grafted, I just think that as I keep saying all over, Parasite just does everything. And I think, rightfully so, the technical achievements 1917 has won for were rightly deserved, particularly for Roger Deakins, and a big shout out to him with his wonderful cinematography. That was thoroughly deserved. I still think it's crazy that he's only won 2 Oscars in his history of fantastic sort of cinematographic, accomplishments. I think he's only received 2 Oscars.
That's
it's just
crazy,
quite crazy,
isn't it?
really.
That is, yeah. So do you think, Ross, obviously working previously in a cinema, now that this film's picked up its Oscars, do you think we'll start seeing a surge of it in the cinemas?
I really do hope so. I mean, it is pretty standard that when a film wins, the Best Picture, they do get a wider sort of distribution and exhibition. But already, I'm not sure if you've seen the statistics for this weekend, but Parasite, although released on Friday in the UK because we got it so late, is already doing great business. They reckon it was £1 million or something like that. It grossed this weekend, and being in selected cinemas, that was a fantastic achievement. So they said it was on par to do really well, and with Oscar surge, which it obviously accomplished very well there, it's going to do even more business. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of this film around, and hopefully more Korean cinema and foreign language.
That's brilliant.
Or international film, should I say, using the right language now in the cinema.
Yeah,
which would be wonderful.
Unfortunately, I don't think any of us have actually seen it, yet alone know much about it. And I believe you said to keep it that way before we watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for listeners, it might be worth just knowing. In the broadest terms, it's about class sort of collision. What happens when the most wealthiest and the most impoverished meet in a particular circumstance, and it all goes from there. And I don't think that's really spoiling anything saying that, but I don't want to say any more than that, because I think absolutely, as you say, to go in blind, it's the best way to experience this film. Try to avoid the trailers. I think you guys said you've avoided the trailers, haven't you?
Yeah,
I've seen nothing.
I didn't even watch the trailer when I put it on the newsletter last week.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the best way to go along. Is that Steve?
It is Steve.
Hello. Steve, you're there.
I am here.
I didn't know you were going to be there today. That's
sadly, Film Club didn't get the numbers, unfortunately.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, yeah. But
that's disappointing.
Hear the sadness in Ross's voice.
Oh, Film Club's
hear the
close
sadness.
to my heart. So,
yeah, we've had a little discussion about the unfortunate of today's numbers, but we'll see if it still lives on. But we do hope so. We do hope so.
Or maybe we can have a Parasite screening when it's out on DVD or Blu-ray.
That's not a bad idea.
And persuade others to see it.
Yeah,
it's such a fantastic.
That'd be great.
But otherwise, our other predictions, of course, I think we all picked Joaquin Phoenix in Joker to be Best Actor. Yes. I think that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we did.
That was just blow away performance, really.
And then
it was, and his speech. Oh, I mean, what a wonderful speech. There's always on the wayside, what's he going to say next? After his BAFTA speech and what have you. But I think it was perfectly handled. Where those people that can stand there and make such statements can be heard, but him talking about the environment, the world, and us all standing together and doing the right thing, it was just a really well executed, thought out speech. And of course he concluded it as, and I predicted this as well. I thought, well, where else could he go after all these other speeches but to dedicate to his sadly demised brother River Phoenix, which was a lovely, touching end to his speech.
Because picking up on what you said there about the BAFTAs, again, the film that won Best Film at the BAFTAs did not win Best Film at the Oscars. Because obviously that went to 1917 in the BAFTAs, whereas obviously over here it went to, I say over here, over at the Oscars, obviously went to Parasite. The kind of curse continues, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, there is and again, this is arguable, but a sense that obviously with the BAFTAs there's a bit more bias towards British film, British filmmakers, and so I can't say I was surprised with 1917, with its British context and largely British crew, winning, the top prizes there, but. it just could be coincidence. That it did. I mean, it was doing very well for itself on the World Award circuit 1917 anyway, and that's why a lot of people were predicting it would, take the big prizes last night at the Oscars. It's like the Screen Guilds Awards. That's often a Screenwriters Guild Awards. That's often the sort of the catapult for people to predict what will win the Oscars, and I think they were going by that with 1917. But obviously, it was a very different story.
Yeah, got another interesting one. That was Brad Pitt's first ever acting Oscar.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Personally, I didn't think it was the best role he's ever been in, but yeah, it's just quite interesting.
There is often this debate, isn't there, that people get the overdue award, but is that necessarily for their best performance? Like Leonardo DiCaprio for The Revenant, many have argued he's actually better in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood than he was in that, because he gives such a hefty performance that Brad Pitt feeds off of, and in all fairness, he probably is better than that. And many argue he was better in The Wolf of Wall Street than he actually was in The Revenant. That's not saying he was a bad performance, but compared to his others, might not necessarily have been the best. Like even Scorsese, and I personally love The Departed, but many people said of all the films he's directed, that really isn't the best of what he's done. When you look at Goodfellas, Taxi Driver, the list is endless. But the fact he got for The Departed, it's almost like we owe it to you.
It did feel a bit like that. But.
Yeah, but I mean, I assume you've all seen. Yeah, you've seen it, haven't you? Will, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes. Yeah. No, I personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
No. I think Brad Pitt was a fantastic part of that film,
absolutely. Acting wise, I thought it was phenomenal. To be honest, it was really strong performances.
Yeah, I mean, he just chewed up the scenes and all that he was in, and yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, again, I'm going to be cautious here of not going into spoiler territory. Very cautious of that with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I love it personally, and I'd strongly recommend listeners watching it if they can.
But otherwise, in your prediction run, you did get 3 out of 4, Ross, because you also picked Renee Zellweger to win Best Actress as well.
To be fair, though, it was pretty obvious. I think all of the awards, season, the whole award season, should I say, they were all winning it left, right, and centre. So it was no surprises last night that they won what they won. It was always the 2-horse race really between 1917 and Parasite for the film and director. And I mean, this happened with The Shape of Water a few years ago with that and 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, isn't it? It was between those two, and of course, as you were saying with the BAFTAs, 3 billboards swept up at the BAFTAs, very British sort of orientated film in those involved. So again, did well at BAFTAs, but didn't at the Oscars, and that was, of course, Shape of Water's year with Benicio. I was going to say Benicio del Toro then, not Benicio del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, you were going to say something. Yeah. Oh, I thought I heard you go. Last 2 questions for you, Ross. Question number 1: is there someone or a film you thought should have won an Oscar but didn't?
Oh, that's interesting, because Mark Commode's done a post on that, and I really liked it. I'm not sure if anyone's heard his recent podcast with Simon Mayo about his rules are if it hasn't been nominated, it's eligible for his voting. And one that really stands out, I feel, not so much for film, but for actor, I feel that Adam Sandler was completely duped for Oscar. He should have at least got a nomination, because he's fantastic in Uncut Gems. I just think it's absolutely absurd that he wasn't nominated, and he should have been one of those top 5 there for recognisable performance. I mean, would have he won against Joaquin Phoenix? That's very arguable, but I think he had a good chance. But it never made any sense to me there. And his speech the other night at the Independent Awards.
Oh, that was hilarious.
It was so good. I don't know why I put on that stupid voice though, but either way, it was. I guess it was the intention he was going for the humour, but it was just brilliant. And yeah. So if that answers your question, I feel that was the biggest snub in the awards season, not just the Oscars, but in the awards season overall. It baffles me why he wasn't considered.
Well, so that is definitely answered question number 1. And question number 2, Ross. What have you been watching, and would you recommend anything for our listeners to watch?
That's a good question. I wasn't prepared for this. I was just thinking about the awards.
Catch you on the fly.
Well, I watched loads in the awards season lead up, and I guess all the contenders are all brilliant. TV shows, I've been a bit behind with certain ones. So I've been watching The Boys on Amazon. I'm sure that's probably been spoken about in previous podcasts, but that is absolutely brilliant. Picard, the Star Trek spin-off.
I've not seen any of Picard at all, actually.
It's really good. It kind of goes down a Discovery approach, so it's kind of a bit darker, a bit grittier, a bit of adult language in there, if you will. So they've gone for a bit of a darker approach. But if you are or have been a follower of Star Trek films and Star Trek Next Generation, which I grew up on, really, really love it. It's a nice sort of throwback to that. So I do recommend it if that's your kind of thing. You might get a little bit lost if you never did see any of the Next Generation series or films. I mean, there's enough going on there that you can pick up what's going on. But I would highly recommend it.
Is there is it Commander Riker? Is he coming back, or is it just Picard?
Rumoured, like I said, 3 episodes in yet. Again, don't want to spoil too much, but not many of the original crew have been seen yet. But the producers have said that give it 3 episodes to find its feet, to sort of set the scene, and this sort of, if you will, Next Generation. There's 10 or 20 years on since we've seen Picard and the crew. They're all in their different places, so they said they've got to sort of establish new characters, this new kind of environment, situation, and then things all start falling into place. So I'm expecting to see a few of the older crew members turn up in coming weeks, but we shall see.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you got any other thoughts on the Oscars, Ross, or have
I
you
tell you what I do
covered?
have thoughts on is the
go for it.
Razzies. The Razzies, the alternative Oscars, as in the terrible
the
films.
Razzies.
And going back to a previous podcast when I was a guest, one might remember that I had a rant about a certain
Rambo's
film.
rant, yes. Ross's
Well,
Rambo rant, I think is what the podcast was called.
To my pleasure, Rambo has been nominated, Rambo Lost Blood, for some Golden Razzies. So I'll be intrigued to see how, I think that is today actually. Intrigued to see how well that's going down. But they reckon
brilliant.
Cats is going to run riot there at that one. So I'll be surprised if anything beats Cats.
I type in Razzies and I get a pizzeria. Fantastic.
I could go for some pizza. Oh dear. Oh, thanks, Ross. That was brilliant.
No worries. Pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Is there anything else we want to talk about today?
I mean, unless you want to be involved in what else we've been watching this week.
Well, tell me what you've been watching. I'm happy to
I appear to be first in line. I rewatched Lord of the Rings: Return of the King over the weekend.
Classic.
Because one of my friends, Rob, was down, and he'd watched Fellowship and Two Towers, and was like, I need to watch it, and I was just like, cool, whatever. And you know what? It's still damn good today. I think it really has held up.
His heart's in the right place and everything. I mean, it's funny you should say that, because on the talk of the Oscars, there was much debate of whether that of all 3 was the one that should have gone away with all the Oscars it did, and it kind of felt like it was deserved, because the others didn't win. They won technical awards, but not, the top awards. And it just kind of feels like we owe it to you, Peter Jackson, and everybody, for Lord of the Rings with Return of the King. But many have debated and said maybe Fellowship is better. But I don't know how you all feel about that.
See, I personally, for me, Two Towers is my favourite.
Really? That's interesting.
I love Two Towers. Don't know why, I just love it. It's great. Maybe I've watched it the most.
I think I probably agree with Fellowship. I think just being entered into that universe for the first time, not having read the books, it was really it was just amazing. It was just so much content.
I'm not a book reader as well, so that when I was really young, watching that first installment, I was very much hooked from there onwards.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. They're so well handled, and they just nailed it. I mean, it's kind of wrong to sort of separate it all, because it all works collectively as one, isn't it? The whole lot. I mean, I think Return of the King is such a lovely ending, although it does have the ending that keeps going and going and going. And a funny story about that, actually, many years ago, in fact, I was working in the cinema when that came out. And the general manager, because often we do cast screenings so you can see it before the public, but of course it was such a long film. And his brainwave was, oh, we need to do a fire alarm test. But you can only do fire alarm tests at the cinema after hours or before hours. So his idea was, midnight, you can bring along your family with you, because everyone was desperate to see it, as long as you take part in a live fire evacuation. So we did that. So we didn't get around to seeing the film till about 12:30, 1:45, and you can imagine the film that goes on and on and on.
Oh my goodness.
So we were like walking out the cinema in daylight.
Oh my days.
Oh dear.
But it was worth it. I mean, it was, you know, in one of those situations, everybody was wide awake and buzzing, you know, but it just really takes me back. But yeah,
Wow.
What a time
cool
to do
moment.
it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, after watching, there's a channel that we've watched and featured on the old newsletter in the past, the Corridor Crew, the visual effects artists, and they did a series like looking at Lord of the Rings and some of the CGI and has it held up, how they did it, that kind of thing. And there was one particularly bad bit of CGI they picked up on, which was quite near the end of Return of the King, where Frodo's got the ring and he's running into whichever mountain it is, Mount Doom or whatever. Yeah. And literally, as you watch it, it is honestly some of the most funny CGI ever, because it's just his like cut-out character mask just is like running in thin air but being transported across the floor, and he's just sliding along. And obviously, well, when I watched it like on my telly at home, like, there's the bad CGI. It was just quite funny. But honestly, I still think Lord of the Rings as a franchise is 10 out of 10 all day.
Oh, it's brilliant.
All of them.
It's a shame about the Hobbits, though. I thought they weren't as good. In fact, they were quite disappointing. I don't know if I'm on my own there, but
I think it could have been one film, personally.
It was is it the last one where Legolas is like jumping on blocks like Mario, and
oh yes, was that the one with Benedict Cumberbatch?
Done cuts that on YouTube.
Yes, it's Smaug.
It's hilarious. Yeah. Oh, it's just ridiculous. It's like, really?
I mean, he is a really overpowered character. He can see like binocular vision. He can shoot like 19 arrows a second, and he can just fly, and he does everything. But yeah, I think Legolas is definitely the most powerful character in Lord of the Rings by an absolute mile. But great. the other thing I haven't really been watching much TV or film, because I've been having to mark most nights. Thanks, students, for getting me to mark. But it's good in a way, because they're actually submitting work. Hurrah!
That's good.
Is a YouTube channel called The Spiffing Brit.
I've heard of this. Go on. What?
So what this guy does is he's got a very, very incredibly British accent, and he just keeps talking about tea constantly. It's like, oh yes, before you watch the video, make sure you got a cup of tea. No coffee, no tea. So he's like that, and basically he looks for exploits and hacks in games that you can do yourself without having to like ruin your game. And obviously playing Sid Meier's Civilization 5 and 6, he's done a couple where it's like, well, if you do this and you do this and you do this, oh look, you've got infinite gold and you can buy every unit ever. And it's like, it's just really, he just presents it in such a sort of deadpan but really comedic way, where he kind of goes through all these exploits one by one, and you just sat there, you're just laughing at it, just going, oh my days, I could literally do this myself. I was like, well, if you buy this unit first, then buy this unit, then make sure you buy this unit, and this and this and this. It's just really good fun, but he's done it for quite a few games. I've only watched the Civilization series ones, where I was like, would you like a science win? Yes. Here's how you get loads of science, and you can just win in seconds. It's like, oh, but that kind of takes fun out of a game, but it's almost quite fun trying to make it work in a way. But yeah, I've been watching some of his #content. Yeah, otherwise, I've not watched anything else, because I'm really bad. But hopefully over half term I'll watch stuff.
You've it's jogged my memory of one film I did. I think, is there anything around the Oscars I had seen, and it was Bad Boys for Life, which actually was quite a guilty pleasure actually. So obviously the first Bad Boys film without Michael Bay behind the directing sort of approach, but it was. Yeah, it was all right actually. Have you guys seen it at all?
No, I didn't get to catch that one.
I think I've seen the original one like years ago. But I honestly, if you asked me what the plot was, I'd be like, eh? because I've probably forgotten it.
I mean, the original Bad Boys, and I'll say it's quite controversial, is actually okay. It's a really fun, joyous film, and at a point where Michael Bay was good, then and The Rock. But after then, oh my goodness, I don't know what happened.
Oh dear.
Before he found the explosion button.
Yeah, and he just went over the top with everything, literally everything. And so, I'm not a huge fan of Bad Boys 2, but there were some funny moments in it. But yeah, Bad Boys for Life I think captured the development of the original characters, and it takes it to some surprising areas that you don't see coming. But it's interesting that he still got credit on it, because it was originally meant to be directed by Joe Callahan, who did The Grey, the Liam Neeson film with the wolves. So you can tell it's got his sort of edge to it. I mean, I don't know how much the script had altered, but they still given him the sort of script, the story credit and producing credit. But I know he was obviously down to direct, but pulled out through creative differences, that common term used in Hollywood. But you can see that in there, and actually it works so much better for that. So yeah, if you like the Bad Boys films, particularly the first one, it's definitely worth a watch, I would say.
Nice.
Cool.
Will, what have you been watching?
Well, I've caught this series has been buzzing around a little bit on Netflix called The Stranger. I don't know if you've heard about this, Ross.
Oh yes, I have. It's got Jennifer Saunders in it as well, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's 8 episodes, and it's based in the UK. The whole premise is about a stranger who just comes up to people and then gives them sort of life-changing information, whether it's about someone they know, but normally it's something that's very private, that they've been kept under wraps, and she reveals this information. I thought, I've seen the whole season, and it was interesting. However, it very rarely gave stuff back to the audience. So it all the time it's like posting more questions, adding more relationships in, and it's just this big family tree that seems to keep growing and growing and growing. But then you don't really get any answers until the last half of the last episode. So for me, it was quite a tough watch trying to stick with it when I just had so many questions that kept building on top of each other. But I'll be interested if you guys give it a watch and hear your opinions on it.
What's it on?
Yeah,
just Netflix.
Just Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely one I've been looking into, because I've heard many things, and they were ranting and raving about it on the radio the other week. But is it a standalone series, or is it likely to have a sequel?
As it stands, I could see it having a sequel, but I'm happy to say the ending kind of does wrap it up as well. So
okay.
I think they could very easily make it a standalone. Yeah,
definitely check that one out.
Yeah,
funny you mentioned Netflix, because I think it was on your TechNet news the other week, newsletter, that you mentioned about Sex Education, the new I say new, it's in its second series now, isn't it? Have you been watching it?
I think we've all watched it.
We've all seen
Have
it.
you? I'm very behind in the times. I've watched the first episode.
Oh, you got a lot to enjoy there, Ross.
Yeah, I mean, I
good.
thought it was a bit odd, and I don't know if you've had a conversation about this yet, about the whole setting, and because it almost feels like it wants to be American.
Oh, American England, they call it, don't
they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost fictionalizing a world, but trying to make it relatable. Is that what they're trying to do?
I believe so. I think they just want to give that the high school setting, and the sort of like cliques that you get in sort of American society, or stereotypically. But then they obviously thought, acting wise, that they chose a whole English cast, really. So
right.
Yeah, it was interesting. I remember watching the very first episode and thinking, I don't really know where I am.
Yeah,
I
thought it was in America.
And we knew to persevere, because that's what a few people have said to us. But apparently it just gets better and better, I've heard. About 30 minutes in, we're like, okay, we're absorbed, we're immersed into this world that it's created now, and sort of forgoing the inaccuracies of what high school or sixth form life is like in the UK, because it is more realistically like in-betweeners, really.
Yeah.
But
you kind of just have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, and
absolutely.
It never goes outside of that bubble. So you can kind of just put your belief into the area they're in, and just enjoy the sort of connections more than the setting, really.
Yeah, so I think that's the best bit of advice to give to anyone going into that show who hasn't seen it yet. And yeah, I'm looking forward to what it has installed. I mean, it's very funny. And Gillian Anderson's clearly having a whale of a time as a sex therapist in it. She's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to the rest.
It's great. And Steve, what about you? Have you been catching up on anything?
Same as I have been the last couple of weeks. I'm still cracking on through Prison Break. Have you seen Prison Break, Ross?
Oh yes,
So
many years ago.
Yeah, so it's one of those ones of everyone. It popped up on Netflix, and everyone's like, "Oh, you haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it yet." So I was like, "Okay, I'll start watching it with my girlfriend." And we're about halfway through the 3rd season, and all I've been warned about is it takes a very slow decline in regards to its quality. I personally haven't hit that yet. A lot of the episodes or scenarios, I will admit, seem to be dragged out. Spoiler free, of course. In the 1st and 2nd season, things would happen a bit faster, and you'd be constantly on the edge of your seat. But this one, you think something's going to happen, it would delay it, and you think it's going to happen again, it would delay it. But it's not put me off. It's just smartly built the suspense a bit more. Again, I can't spoil anything, but that's what I've been watching. And alongside that, a bit of a side note going to YouTube again, I've been watching in my opinion, YouTube's equivalent of Top Gear. It's this YouTube channel called Car Throttle, and I've just become obsessed with it. It's basically three different gentlemen. Well, most of the time it's one, actually, doing these different series, and I'm not exactly that informed on what goes on under a bonnet, but I do enjoy my cars. And these guys essentially adapt similar style Top Gear questions, like, can this specific car travel 800 miles on one tank? Can it do this? Can it do that? Can we buy a car off Auto Trader for £200? Can we buy a Bentley for under £5,000? It's just little silly Top Gear style challenges, and I think a lot of people I've spoken to, it's very Marmite, these three chaps that actually do run this car themed YouTube series. But I personally, I've been really enjoying it. I find that they're all very different characters who bounce off each other quite well. The main guy I do understand is quite Marmite. He's very much a muscly petrol head, but he is. I personally find him quite hilarious because he just plays into that fact. And to be honest, that's taken up a lot of my time. So I've only got half an hour, 20 minutes here and there, which most of the time is my evenings. And I've been actually really enjoying it. I watched their full Living with a Rotary Engine series and went from having no idea what that meant to actually having a pretty fair understanding of what's going on, which was actually quite nice, I'll be honest. So I got my little Top Gear fill. I feel like all of us who enjoyed Top Gear and the Grand Tourer are missing a little bit. So Car Throttle on YouTube is actually what I've been consuming alongside
Prison Break.
Prison Break, yeah.
Cool.
I'm looking forward I think that'll be my theme for the next few weeks. Hopefully after half term I would have got at least season 4, halfway through season 4, but can only kind of squeeze in 2 or 3 episodes a night, unfortunately. But that's all we're kind of wanting to watch. I do want to crack on with The Stranger, and there's another one I wanted to watch, and just heading to the cinema to catch all the Oscar related stuff. And my girlfriend wants to see the new Harley Quinn film, Birds of Prey.
Oh yes.
So I'm going to go along with her
it's
to
getting
check
good
that
reviews,
out.
but it's not doing very well at the box office, is it?
I'm curious to see. I think
some people gave up hope.
Yeah.
In Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know
it's
if we
easy to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if we've had this conversation with you, Ross, about having 2 DC themed timelines kind of releasing
it's a mess.
along the same time.
Total mess.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do.
This
with
makes
that.
immersion that much harder, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it's a problem because they've nailed some characters, but they've completely ruined others.
Yeah.
I think Wonder Woman's brilliant. I loved what they did, and then all the other stuff, has been a bit. Superman's taken a bit of a dive, isn't it? And it's such an odd mix. And of course, obviously, with Ben Affleck's Batman gone now reintroducing the Batman with Pattinson. It's intriguing, but they're saying rumours that the Pattinson Batman could fit into the Joaquin Phoenix Joker world. So I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's half the problem. Is I would not be surprised. I'm not one of them, of people going in to see Birds of Prey expecting either one to have some relation to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, or I would not be surprised if a small percentage, maybe under 5%, will walk in expecting to see Joaquin Phoenix in that film. Wouldn't surprise me with people who aren't all that informed. Wouldn't surprise me, albeit slightly crazy. But could you blame a viewer who's not really into DC, that whole comic book universe?
It's just that how the audience slated Jared Leto. He's just. I think he was written into the script originally, I believe, and then in the final edit, I think you see his feet. Or it might not one of them be his feet.
Wow.
So yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much my week and my half term. More importantly, I want to try and hit the cinema at least 3 times.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Good aim.
There we go.
But yeah. Otherwise, yeah, Dirt DC are messing everything up because their TV universe is in a totally different universe from everything else. It's like flipping hell. At least Marvel, their TV shows and their films are at least in the same universe. Give them that.
It's all planned out though. It's strategic. They're all on the same hymn sheet. It's just with DC, they were playing catch up with Marvel because they knew Marvel was working towards the Avengers and they were so far behind, and so they catapulted that forward, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
And it's showing, isn't it? It's just it's all over the place.
Oh. Anyways, right, I think that pretty much sums up the Where's My Kit Bag pod for this week. Ross, thank you so much for joining us via the phone.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Ross.
Thank you for having me. It's
been great.
Brilliant.
Ross, you're always welcome. Otherwise, yeah, that pretty much sums up the Where's My Kit Bag podcast. It's goodbye from me, James.
Goodbye from me, Will.
Goodbye from me, Steve.
Bye from me, Ross.
Hey.
Yes, I was hoping you'd do it. And then join us for another podcast after half term reading week. We will see you then. Thanks for listening to the Where's My Kit Bag podcast. Please feel free to drop us a comment about anything you want us to cover in the section down below, or hit us up on Instagram or Twitter using @F6 Media Film.